Hi everyone, it's Sean here, and I want to give everybody an update on the John Haynes at Death Store Kickstarter. Currently, we have 60 backers, and the John Haynes at Death Store Kickstarter has 10 days to go. So, if you want to pick up your copy of John Haynes at Death Store, whether it be a digital or a paper copy, you can put in your pledge by clicking the link in the description box. I want to thank everybody who has put in a pledge for the John Haynes at Death Store Kickstarter, and I'm hoping to get this comic to you soon. After learning more about the black pastor who got jacked for his loot by Pookie and Ray Ray on Sunday, I'm beginning to think that he reaped what he sowed. Now, on Sunday, your Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead got jacked for his over $1 million in jewelry when some bandits broke into his church and took all of his jewelry and then sped off in a Mercedes. And I'm beginning to believe that your Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead reaped what he sowed, because this black pastor had the audacity to go out here and flaunt his wealth in front of his flock. And many in the black community wouldn't see this as disrespectful, but when I look at the actions of your Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead, they don't look like the actions a man who follows the Most High would participate in. But your black pastors believe that they are better than everybody else, and I believe it was that kind of arrogance that led to your Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead to go out here and think that he could go out here and strut around Brooklyn in his tailored suits and his expensive jewelry and drive around in a Rolls Royce. Now, when I look at the flashy image of this so-called buck dancing, bojangling black pastor, it runs counter to the image that Jesus and the disciples had. Now, when you look at Jesus and his disciples, they were not going around here wearing expensive clothes, nor were they wearing flashy jewelry. In fact, in the Bible, Jesus tells them not to carry anything at all, because he wants people to go out here and hear the gospel and the substance of the gospel, not see the flash of the individual. But when I look at this bishop, he clearly wasn't interested in going out here and preaching the word to the people of Brooklyn. No, he was looking to exploit the people of Brooklyn, and he was looking to go out here, as he exploited the people of Brooklyn, throw up a middle finger at all of those people who came to his church on the regular and gave him tithes. And instead of looking to use those tithes to go out here and serve the people by providing those who were struggling out here with money to pay their bills, or to go out here and provide a food bank for all of the brothers and sisters in Brooklyn who are disadvantaged, instead of him going out here and looking to provide for the community and serve the community the same way Jesus serves all of his followers, what this individual wants to do is he wants to go out here and he wants to be served, and that just shows the arrogance of this so-called bishop, who clearly does not understand the calling of his title. Now, when we look at the Bible as related to the calling of the title of a bishop, this guy doesn't meet any of the criteria, because again, a bishop has his house in order. But when I look at this bishop, he was looking to go out here and exploit the chaos that goes on in the black community. And what your Bishop Lamar Miller Whitehead is just par for the course as related to your black pastors. Your black pastors go out of their way to exploit all of the black women in the community, take their money to enrich themselves at the expense of those black women, and then he flaunts it in the black woman's face that while wearing all these tailored clothes, driving around in a Rolls Royce, and again, the black woman is thinking, oh, he's the pastor, but the pastor is throwing up a middle finger up at all of the members of the community with his flashy gold jewelry and looking like basically a drug dealer from the late 80s and the early 90s. However, just like the flashy dope dealers of the late 80s and the early 90s, this pastor's arrogance led to him becoming a target of your Pookie and your Ray Ray. And your Pookie and your Ray Ray saw this dude practically running around every day with all of his flashy jewelry, driving around in his Rolls Royce, and said that they were going to go get them some of that, and that's why they sat there and planned to jack this dude for his loot. And they jacked him for his loot because they saw an easy target, and they saw that this pastor, yes, he was supposed to be of a church, but that church wasn't serving the Most High, and because that church wasn't serving the Most High, what happened to this pastor is that he wound up reaping what he sowed, because in his hubris he planted these seeds in the ground as related to the community he was supposed to be allegedly serving, and what he did was plant the seeds in the ground where he expressed his contempt for the community. And because he expressed his contempt for the community, Pookie and Ray Ray said to themselves, we're going to get themselves a cut of that loot. Since he's not looking to serve the community, they look to go out there and get them a slice as related to this dude's bling. And that's why this black pastor, again, reaped what he sowed. But this black pastor just shows us how these black pastors really don't serve the community. No, these black pastors go out here and they exploit the community. These black pastors, they go out here and preach prosperity while taking away the mites of those who don't have much. And instead of trying to go out here and help the members of the community the way Jesus and his apostles did, what these vultures do is they want to go out here and take away the houses of widows and take away what little black women have. And sadly, they do this telling them what they want to hear. And then as they're telling them what they want to hear, they then take their money and in some cases even take their panties, and they wind up leaving the black community poorer than what it was before. And this is one of the reasons why we have such a hard time getting people to get the gospel and receive the word of God, because we have buck dancing, bojangling, step and fetch it pastors like this who go out here and look to exploit black people. And because these people go out here and plant the seeds of thorns and briars in a community, we cannot have people bear the fruit of the gospel, because individuals like this pervert the word of God, and they do it with such audacity these days because it takes an extremely, again, arrogant person to go out here and strut around in $1 million worth of jewelry and do this in front of his congregation, which basically is struggling to get on the bus and the train to go see him every Sunday, instead of him showing respect for his congregation by dressing modestly and acting in a humble fashion. This arrogant pastor went for probably years throwing up middle fingers up at his congregation, and that was something I don't know if the Most High was pleased with, because that's the only reason why this individual possibly reaped what he sowed and received the bitter harvest of these individuals going into a church. And because they saw this individual, they wanted to go get his money. Now again, they spoiled his goods because they did not see a man who was strong as related to his relationship with the Most High. And because he wasn't strong, they bound that strong man and took all of his goods. And that's what happens, again, when you reap what you sow. You put seeds in the ground, and those seeds eventually wind up coming up, and they wind up consuming you. And that's what happened here with this pimp pastor. This pimp pastor pimped his community for years, and now the pimp has run into Pookie and Ray Ray, and he has learned a hard lesson about God, and he's learned a hard lesson about mocking God, because that's what he was doing in this church. And it's just like it says in the Bible, God is not mocked, and as a man sows, he shall reap. And this is what happened here with this Brooklyn pastor, he wound up reaping what he sowed, later than he sowed, greater than he sowed, and he wound up reaping a bitter harvest because instead of him investing in the community, he wound up exploiting the community. And because he exploited the community, these Pookies and Ray Rays exploited his church, and they took all of his goods, because had he invested in his community, all of those resources that he spent on this jewelry, then maybe Pookie and Ray Ray would be at a job or tired from a job, and they wouldn't have been thinking about jacking his loot. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find all of those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today.